everybody's first time here at the North Farm, huh? So I should probably explain what we do, how it's, so I got to kind of keep my old job from the co-op and just transfer it to Michigan State, where I continue to do education and deal with local schools. So school groups come out here. I also continue to get to help the schools that have gardens and hoop houses, and I just sort of am doing it under this other position now. So, the North Farm is a project that's part of the UP Research and Extension Center through Michigan State University. So this is the North Farm, and the South Farm is the facility that most people know about that's on the other side of town, there in Chatham. And the idea there, that facility was built in 1985. This facility's been here since 1899.
Wow.
So it's been here a long time. I think the university must have purchased the land, right around the time that the area was being logged really heavily. Because they have like 1,000 acres. It's a lot of land. It's many times the size of Chatham. At any rate, so at the South Farm, they do grass-finished beef and malting barley and cover crop research. That's their focus. This facility, in 2013, we sort of reawakened it. It had been dormant for 30 years, and we got a grant to do farmer education, and so we were able to start this up. And so first we had to clean everything out of all the buildings because it ended up being stuff that nobody wanted to throw away, but it really needed to be thrown away, about 100 years worth of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We kept some stuff and we found some really cool stuff. At that time we also put up this structure with that grant funding and started the fields out there that we'll see later. The farm manager, Colin, he lives here on site. Some of the apprentice farmers live in housing that's across the street. In the summer we have interns who come from MSU and they live in the house here. So this place is really active in the summer and it's really fun because there's like a lot of young people, which is something that Chatham really needs. It needs people doing new projects and trying new things and learning about new stuff. Superior Central, by the way, is an awesome school. I've worked with them. So yeah, there are young people in Chatham. We're not the only game in town, but it's very exciting to be here.
I think that apprentice farming is a fabulous idea.
So yeah.
If nothing else, it'll get people using hoop houses, and that's a wonderful thing too. Or it could expand from there.
I mean, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are already on board with this and you get it, but the average age of the American farmer is 57.
Wow.
So who's going to be growing our food when those people decide to retire or stop farming? Being a first-generation farmer is incredibly difficult because it's hard to afford land. When people inherit land and can farm on it, that's a totally different situation than when you need to purchase your land and all the implements, and you've never farmed before, so the risk in those first couple of years is real high and your likelihood of failure is really high. So the Apprentice Farmer Program is a 2-year program where people are able to come here with their business plan concept. The people we're helping right now are, they're pretty experienced. They're trying out a business concept. They are experienced farmers already. And those farms are Beanpole Farm, Full Heart Garden, and Teresa's Treasures, all of which you can see in Marquette at the farmer's market. And there's also Mastfell Farm, and that's another, he actually graduated from the Student Organic Farm. So at any rate, we're basically incubating these 4 other farm businesses, and I'll show you their plots when we walk up there. And they market their produce separately, they get to keep their own profits, and hopefully that will result in them having a little bit of money to then start their business. And I think that this is a good system because it's kind of what I did. I call it sharecropping. I don't think I'm even using that word totally correctly, but I sharecropped at Rock River Farm, got to keep the profits from there. My friends let me use their land, and those profits were the down payment for my own land. So I think the system can work. So.
Well, there's nothing more important than farming because our bones and our bodies come from the earth.
Right.
We wouldn't exist without it. We'd cease to exist.
Everybody eats. It's something we all got in common.
We are what we eat. It comes from the earth.
Ooh, if She's into picking stuff. Maybe we can pick a pepper.
There you go. I like dirt and rocks.
So this is what a 1/4 acre looks like. This plot that you're looking at, this rectangle, is a 1/4 of an acre. It's a lot more than you think a 1/4 of an acre is, right?
Yeah.
So the apprentice farmers get this 1/4 of an acre in their first year, and then in their second year they get a 1/2 an acre, so they expand that. So that one with the sunflowers on the hoop house belongs to Landon Cheadle of Beanpole Farm. She's in her second year, and she was able to use profits from her land to invest in that hoop house that she put up, and she'll be able to take that with her when she goes. So I feel like that's a really cool thing that she was able to do there. It's the evidence that she had enough to reinvest. And she also had people, Colin and I, around to help her do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, some kale there.
We do, yeah, we got 5 pounds of kale.
Yeah, it's like
Planting. We have another planting we've been working from before. Okay, so
artichoke.
artichoke. There you go. I didn't know that we could grow these here. I thought that you had to be, I don't know, in California or Spain or whatever.
That's neat.
And I didn't really ever put it together that the artichoke is the bud. Right? If we let this go, it would become a big purple flower.
That's neat.
And it's in the thistle family, which you can tell by it's spiny, it's got thistle-like leaves, and so it's a biennial. Off she goes. It's 2 years usually to come to maturity, and in its first year it would be just a rosette of leaves. And then in the second year it would put up the flower stalk and make seeds. We tricked this one by basically letting the transplants when they were young stay in the hoop house and get cold. So they thought that they had gone through a winter. And so we basically forced them to flower in their first year.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about these guys. I haven't successfully cooked them yet. I've cooked them a couple times, but they haven't been great. Today someone told me you have to steam them for 20 minutes. Which seems like a long time. But maybe that's what I'll try.
They stay rigid, they stay too firm to be enjoyable.
Yeah, the ones I had actually, it was that they lost this beautiful green color and they just looked gray. It's like I boiled them instead of steamed them, maybe. Maybe they need to be not actually in the water. Well, look, people. I wonder if we can interest them. Yeah. Why not? At any rate, right next to the artichokes, we've got a cover crop that's oats and turnips and peas. And the idea there is that we never want to let soil be uncovered. It's part of our organic certification to work cover crops into our rotation so that we're nourishing the soil. People ask us a lot, about fertilizers, and really we try to keep our soil practices such that we're improving the soil as we grow on it instead of just taking and never giving back.
You're gonna turn that right into the soil then.
Exactly. Yeah, and the turnips it's kind of cool, like the root crops. So everything in this mix is doing something different, right? The turnips create a pocket underground. They basically, like you can think about carrots doing the same thing, or daikon, they punch a hole through the soil and they help sort of transport nutrients from one level of the soil to the next by absorbing what's around and then rotting. And they also provide food for microorganisms because we leave them in there. If we had animals, which we don't, they could run through here and have food. They could have pigs, for instance, would be great. They would root and go after those turnips. And other farms in the area use these practices where they've got cover crops going on, and that's how they feed their animals, for their pastured animals. There's no rocks out here. That's the problem. Farmers. This is Teresa Soa's plot. She's another farm that's on the tour today, Teresa's Treasures. And yeah, did you guys say you were just there? Or was that somebody else?
We were there last year.
You were there last year, okay. So Teresa worked on this farm in the 70s when it was an operational dairy. She was a young woman and she was milking, and she's just kept her eye on the place. When we started the Apprentice Farmer program, the idea was to help people start farm businesses, but Teresa's using the program to expand her business. as you guys know from being there, it's not huge. So she's able to rent a whole other quarter acre up to a half an acre of land here in order to expand and attend the classes. And I think she was mostly just curious what was going on here. And she's not afraid of hard work. So this is a bean that her family has been saving. She grew up in Trinary. Her family homesteaded in the area. This was a bean of her grandma's that she's been saving. It's just so cool to think about.
So it's like a kidney bean?
Yeah, it's like a dry soup bean.
generations. So it looks almost looks like a kidney bean.
It's like, I'm going to show you guys the root cellar, which was built in 1910. And I think that it's just, it's you know, if you saw the hoop house coming in, this root cellar is the other side of that, because we can extend the season with the hoop house, but we also need to be able to store the food so that we can continue to market it throughout the year. So, the floor is a little uneven, but trust me, it's totally worth it. So yeah, this structure, these used to be walls, and these were individual bins where they would store food for the cows that were being built over there for the winter. But since this facility's been here since 1899, it's been used for a lot of other things, including, I think it was used to store bulb crates, or because they did some research on tulips and daffodils and stuff like that here at some point, which I wish I would have been around for that, or I wish there were photographs of it. I'm sure it was just beautiful, like fields of flowers. At any rate, now we use it for food, so all the carrots that you saw in the field, those tons and tons of carrots, we'll be processing and storing here in bins, and then we'll be able to take those to the food co-op throughout the winter. And we can usually sell things through, you know, February, March. Depends on, you know, what sales are, but things last in this environment. And another cool thing to point out, you might notice the air conditioners are running. Like, wait a second. Our root cellar is sort of naturally cold, and that's what's good about it, is it's refrigeration without the overhead associated with refrigeration. But we do have these air conditioners running because it's not quite cold enough for the crops we want to store right now. It will be in a couple months, but for right now, in order to get it ready, I should say, for those crops we want to keep it a little colder. These air conditioners are hooked to an instrument called a CoolBot. The CoolBot shuts off the air conditioner's ability to shut off. It keeps the air conditioner running so that this is an innovation that small farms can use in lieu of or as a replacement for a walk-in cooler. A walk-in cooler is like a $6,000 to $10,000 investment. It's a very big deal. But you do need a way to keep your produce cold so that you can sell it on days other than the day you picked it, right? So you can sell it into the future. And these CoolBots, we've got 2 of them running here, are just this awesome innovation that has really taken off, and a lot of farms are building their own cooler systems or walk-ins and then using these CoolBots. The downside is that it burns out the air conditioner after about 2 years, so you're kind of burning air conditioners, if you will. But until the farm is ready to do the investment of a walk-in cooler, it's a great immediate fix because it's $150 and then the cost of the air conditioner.
You have to watch it now, that usually what we do is put this on that.
All right. You know, we don't too much. And I think what you're referring to is that when things age or ripen, they give off ethylene gas, and that will cause other things around them to ripen. For instance, if you store tomatoes and cut flowers in the same cooler, the flowers will wilt faster because the tomatoes are giving off a lot of ethylene. It kind of ruins the flowers, or it affects their shelf life. I think that onions and potatoes have that relationship, but we have not had that problem here. We also haven't stored a quantity of potatoes, and as you can see, the ones we played you, the ones we did have, those are some leftovers from the spring. They just go into town. There's something very grotesque about